Maybe Scotty Scheffler has this right. We all have this completely wrong. He uses one of these. This is the brand new Strixon U ZXRU. He uses an older version of these, not in one of these lofts. And I saw it on, in the bag, and he's got one of these in his bag. He's not even a Strixon player, which is always funny. One of the biggest questions I always get asked is long iron or hybrid. I mean, long irons really now should be U irons. You don't want to be using long irons preferably. So in this new one, you've got mainframe face, you've got really thick soles, you've got everything is built around trying to keep the club as friendly as you can, but delivering what an iron delivers over the alternative, which would be like a hybrid. So let's talk about what that is, because I think this data I've captured is going to shock you, like really surprise you, because we think these are so different. Where they are also not. Why is Scotty so good? Many reasons. Why has he got one of these in his bag? What's the difference, and which one should you be gaming? Should we have a little investigation? Remember, if you like the reviews, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Free reviews and tips. This is a review and a lesson, really. So the U iron looks like an iron, but you see the club out the back. Next to no offset, I see the club out the back. It's got a flat face where the hybrid has roll and bulge. And it feels like an iron, you know, it makes the sound of an iron, it feels solid, it's iForge, the ZXRU from Strixon. You know, the other manufacturers make this kind of club. You go with the manufacturer you want, they're all pretty decent. But you can see the difference in looks, rounded face on the hybrid, flat face, more of that iron appearance that you would expect. You know, you're gonna say this one gives you loads more confidence than this one. Why are tour players then still sticking with this? They play for their money, but they're really good. So maybe that's why they're able to use this and we're not. Well, I hit a lot of shots, like a lot of shots, and I want to show you the difference between these two clubs in a standard situation, because this is going to blow you away. So let's start with the club data. I try to match these clubs as much as possible. And look what happened. The club head speeds, I matched them within 0.3 mile an hour of each other. The dynamic loss, that's the loft delivered at impact, matched them. Again, 0.4, they're the same. The dynamic lie was very similar, a little bit out. Face angle saying path was the same, angle of attack was pretty much the same, a little bit more down with a hybrid, but we'll come back to that. So when you match the club dynamics, look what happens to the ball dynamics. The ball speed, the same. The launch angle, the same, 0.1, different. The spin, less than 100 revs, different, the same. Look at the carry, 2 yards in it, standard deviation overlapping them, the same. And the total distance, again, standard deviation overlapping, but the same. So when you match these clubs for delivery, they perform the same. You don't get more help or whatever from a hybrid, or do you? What you do get is a slightly more left bias with the hybrid. See how the blue dot is more straight to left? The hybrid is more upright in its lie. These are things that we don't work in. Where the U iron you can see is left and definitely more to the right. And it feels like that as I hit it, like it's going to leak more to the right. So I get a slightly wilder dispersion with the longer iron, maybe not as friendly on off-center strikes, you could argue. I'm more of a hybrid player than I am an iron player, so I think that's a bit of me in there too. And you get a slightly different shot bias, but you could change that shot bias with lie. Like I could make the U iron a bit more upright, I could make the hybrid less upright, which is hard, to be fair. They don't give you that option, but I could do it, and I could make them basically exactly the same. So when I deliver what I can control, like for like, they're the same. And that's crazy, isn't it? How can that be the same? This is more friendly, it launches higher, it might peak higher, it might descend at a slightly better height. The descent angle on these two clubs, guess what? It was exactly the same. 34.5 and 34.8, it was just the same. So when I start looking at those numbers, I think, yeah, this makes sense why someone like Scheffler would use this club. They're using it, and I'm guessing here, but I reckon one of the reasons is he doesn't want a hybrid that goes left. Tour players, good players, hate things turning left as a general rule. A club that's going to be straight or even leaking slightly off to the right will make them feel safer. Think about the amateur. They're the opposite to that. They hit everything to the right. They struggle with losing it to the right. So having the hybrid that actually goes a little bit more straight to left compared to the long iron that goes straight to right would make a lot of sense. I would see that as a big win, long iron to hybrid, most watching hybrid all day long because it does have that left bias built in. But there must be an advantage in launch and what have you, and that's what really started to baffle me. So we're going to do this test now live so you can watch along with it. Watch what happens when I put it in a different situation. So let's go 17th at St Andrews over the road hole bunker. 237 out, and obviously not much room if I go at the pin, which for this kind of test I will, like that, look, boom, straight at it. Stop, stop, like that's as good as I can do. Ah, just pulled it. So I'm trying to add a bit of loft for this. I'm trying to add a bit of height. If I play that standard shot, it's just going to come in too low. So I'm actually going to try and play the slightly higher version of this shot with this club. And this is where I think custom fitting sometimes can just be so wrong because it's situation based as much as anything else. So I'm really trying to get that one to get up, and I'm going to, yeah, that's a better leak. That'll hit middle of the green. Like, this is gameable. Sit, sit, sit. Oh, and that's a miss hit. So that's where you would want the hybrid in theory, but I reckon that'll work better as a miss hit. Yeah, middle of the green. So can we find an advantage in the hybrid? Like, why are we all using them? Obviously the left missed to the right missed already, I think is some bonus for lots of you. Slightly out the bottom, but that's a pretty decent result. Go, take that. Oh, that's interesting because that's a bit of a miss it as well. It's very similar to the iron strike, literally the same shot. Again, going for the higher deliveries, trying to get it to actually stop the other side. Go! It's going to work well. Didn't quite hit it hard enough. So look what happens when we get situation bound, and we're going to talk you through some interesting numbers here. Look, so I matched the head speeds like we did before, but look at the dynamic loft. Look how much more loft I'm able to get with the hybrid, 20 degrees to 17, 16.8 with the iron. I'm not able to add the loft with the iron. It just doesn't feel like it's going to work as well. And then also look at the attack angle. I'm only 1.5 down where I'm 2.1 down with the iron. Trying to get the hybrid to be more leveled while adding loft feels more like a gameable shot, where the iron just feels like it needs to be hit down with less loft all the time, like an iron. And look what happens to the ball data. The ball data now starts to change. We do see a difference in launch angle. There's a degree extra launch. We've got more ball speed coming out of the hybrid because I am trying to add loft, so I know I've got to hit it that bit further. The spin goes up a little bit more on the hybrid as well, so it's launching higher, it's spinning more, and then that descent angle is going to be different as well. It's going to be coming in much steeper. The hybrid's 45.7 degrees, where the iron, what was that, 41.8. So the descent angle was definitely better with the hybrid. So long iron or hybrid? Well, you can see why Scheffler's hitting a long iron. He's a skilled player. I know he uses a slightly different loft here, but he can do everything he needs to with this iron. He's going to get towering heights anyway because he's hitting it further than me, and it feels like it isn't going to go to the left, and he's probably more happy hitting his irons than he is a hybrid. Think about the amateur. The amateur is generally more sweeping than they are hitting down. Your average amateur likes to add a bit of loft. They don't like taking loft off. They struggle, even with irons, when you measure them, they don't like taking loft off. So the club that is easy to hit and feels easy to hit when it's a bit more sweeping, and you're adding more loft, and it has a tendency to go left, is why most of you should be gaming this. But the people who watch these videos who go, oh, I can never hit hybrids, I'm a long iron player, you're going to be the pattern generally of someone who likes to hit down, likes to de-loft. You hate that shot there, something just really careering left on a long shot, like you hate it. So the long iron will not allow that to happen as much. I mean, that's me going left with a long iron, look, nowhere near as left as the hybrid can go. And with the flat face, it doesn't turn. So it's so horses for courses. It is, you have to bring yourself to the mix. And it's so important that you're not just hitting balls in a simulator down a flat range. You need to put it into some situations in a simulator on a flat range if you can't get out and play. Because you still want the numbers are great, but don't just hit them down a flat range. If you go to your fittings, ask to go into some greens with these clubs and see what happens when you're confronted with different obstacles, because amateurs do play it differently. You'll be amazed how much amateurs do actually react. The fact that Scotty's got a Strixon U-iron in his bag. I think it's funny, but it makes a lot of sense to me. He is that kind of player, probably doesn't want to see it go left. Likes hitting down, great with his irons, which we know, and he wants that tail off if something goes wrong rather than the one that almost went in the burn. Like, that's such a better tail off. Oh, even though it's gone down onto the path. This hole's a bit brutal. So yeah, the average amateur, I think, will benefit from the hybrid over these, but what happens is they're so similar nowadays. They are so matched if you match them. What they're not similar is if you don't match them, which is what's happening. You're testing one of these, you're hitting down and de-lofting. You're testing one of these, you're flattening out and maybe adding loft. And then you go, look, that one goes way higher than that one. Well, it's a little bit with the way you're playing them. And then you put you in a situation out on a golf course and then that unravels a bit more or plays in to what your skills are. Really interesting test there. They're actually very much the same. It's us. It's the messy human. Remember to subscribe if you like the videos and watch this video if you want to learn how to hit your driver as good as Scotty.